Holy crap. We've got another hilarious Donald Trump Pack Watch update. I always love doing these videos. Just keeping track of the fall of Donald Trump is very, very pleasant for me. Judge finds Donald Trump for blatant gag order violation. And you are not going to believe how much money they fined him for. Mr. Trump was fined $5,000 by Judge Arthur and Goron on Friday. $5,000. They fined Donald Trump $5,000 for violating the gag order. Oh god, chat. Chat hears the term gag and order in the same sentence and their bottom senses immediately go off. Christ. The judge said in court that the former president had failed to remove an online post mocking a clerk at the court. He also threatened Mr. Trump with jail time and demanded he take down the untrue and disparaging post made about the clerk earlier this month. You see, Donald Trump is doing everything so wrong throughout this case, down to the point of insulting the people involved and making the decisions as to whether or not, like, he's guilty and, like, what sentencing he might face. Because whether or not he gets a jury of his own peers, the judge is the one who decides the sentencing if he's found guilty. And he's just pissing off the judge and the prosecution and, like, everybody that works at the courthouse. He's shitting on all of them and making fun of them and attacking them for their appearance and calling it all a sham, disrespecting everybody involved. Yeah, down to the clerks, yes. He's literally just upsetting and obstructing everything, and it's making him look worse and worse, which is awesome. Quote, incendiary untruths can and have led to serious physical harm, Judge Goron said in court on Friday. Quote, I will now allow the defendant to explain why this should not end up with serious sanctions or I could possibly imprison him. This judge is fed up with Trump. Holy crap. Mr. Trump's lawyer, Christopher Keiss, apologized on his client's behalf and said it was an inadvertent mistake, which while the post was deleted from social media, aides forgot to remove it from the campaign website. Later in the day, Judge Goron ruled that Mr. Trump pay a fine given that the violation was inadvertent and given that it was a first-time violation. This is his warning. Make no mistake, future violations, whether intentional or unintentional, will subject the violator to far more severe sanctions, which may include, but are not limited to, steeper financial penalties holding Donald Trump in contempt of court, and possibly imprisonment, Judge Goron said in his ruling. Mr. Trump and several of his family members are on trial for fraud. I love several of his family members are on trial for fraud, falsification of business records, issuing false financial statements, and conspiracy. God. Oh, it gets funnier, though. Another Trump lawyer reaches plea deal with Georgia prosecutors. I'm not going to read this article because it's pretty unrelated, but, yeah. This is a recent story from literally 2 days ago. Another Trump lawyer has had to reach a plea deal with Georgia prosecutors for their own charges. Donald Trump's lawyers are in legal trouble, by the way. Donald Trump literally can't get lawyers because to be Donald Trump's lawyer, you have to be complicit in his crimes. So, like, his lawyers are in legal trouble. As they've always been. Like, haven't most of Trump's lawyers that we even, like, know about themselves been embroiled in legal action? Like, Cohen, what was his name? Giuliani. Like, most of Trump's lawyers themselves are con men criminals who end up themselves embroiled in legal trouble. Yeah, like, even Trump's lawyers have to fight legal trouble. Trump's lawyers have to get lawyers in order to defend Trump. The non-jury civil trial is focused on... Oh, it's a non-jury civil trial. Oh, he's... Yeah, I forgot. Non-jury. He's literally insulting... Like, the courts are the ones who make the decision. They're the ones who make the decision on his guilt. They're the ones who make the decision on his sentence. And he is doing everything to upset everybody involved in the process. Everybody involved in the process. Whew! Judge Goron has already determined Mr. Trump committed by inflating his personal net worth to secure valuable loan agreements. New York Attorney General Letitia James who brought the case, is seeking $250 million in penalties and severe restrictions for Mr. Trump's businesses. Judge Goron issued a gag order against Mr. Trump on the 3rd of October after he made a post on his social media site Truth Social disparaging the judge's clerk. It was the judge's clerk. In the post, Mr. Trump, a Republican, had shared a picture of the clerk alongside state Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, claiming he was his girlfriend. It was not the first time this week that the judge admonished the former president, who attended several days of the trial. On Wednesday, Judge Goron told Mr. Trump and others to be quiet during a real estate appraiser's testimony on the witness stand. Mr. Trump was reportedly shaking his head and throwing his hands in the air in frustration. After a request from a lawyer with the New York Attorney General's office, Judge Goron asked people to keep their voices down, quote, particularly if it's meant to influence the testimony. The same day, a New York court employee was arrested after she shouted out to Mr. Trump, quote, indicating she wanted to assist him, said court officials. A court employee was arrested after shouting in the courtroom something about wanting to support him. There just so happens to be Trump loons in the court office that have gotten themselves arrested, causing such a disturbance in the courtroom trying to defend their king. That's fucking crazy, dude. She was escorted out of the court, placed on administrative leave, and charged with contempt of court. The New York fraud case is one of several legal battles that the former president faces this year, including both federal and state criminal charges. I don't even think this is in reference to the RICO charges he's facing, right? Is this the Georgia one? Yeah, so Donald Trump is, so solidly fucked, it's hilarious. And he knows he's fucked. That's why he's acting this way. One of my favorite things is, if you haven't seen his videos yet, the Donald Trump fanboys coming out to the protest to support Trump saying that he's going to be okay are genuinely hilarious. Walter Masterson, one of my favorite new, not really too new, but relatively new into the sphere of what you would consider BreadTube. Walter Masterson has been making some of my favorite content in this space, and he went to Trump's arrest. He attended Trump's arrest, where he turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail, where all the Trump supporters were there, protesting to defend him. And he, interviewed the Trump supporters kind of, in a trolling way. So kind of like how that rapist, Andrew, Channel 5 guy, Andrew Callahan, ended up getting outed as a rapist. So if you don't want to support a rapist like Andrew Callahan, you can watch Walter Masterson do better content instead. But he went there and he epically owned some of these Trump supporters just by letting them talk. And it's just fun knowing how embroiled in this that Trump is. The fact that he's literally not getting out of this no matter what. It's really, with each passing day, it seems like the amount of options he has to somehow miraculously for himself find a way out of it with something approximating a slap on the wrist at the worst gets lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. I really like watching the clips of the Trump supporters coping. How do you think they're going to react if Trump gets, dished out a serious prison sentence?
There's someone pushing these things. There's a reason that the Chinese are setting up police stations all over our country. I mean, who's behind
Wait a second, I haven't heard. No, that one I haven't heard. Tell me everything about that one.
I have heard. Are you familiar with the Epoch Times?
Epoch Times, yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
I have read that in there, that the Chinese are opening up police stations throughout our country.
Nazi publication.
You have not heard about that?
Epoch Times is a Nazi site.
Hey, Forgiato.
What's up, my dog? Again, you?
Again,
You gonna try to Riz me again? What's up? It's the Riz King.
This guy will be one of the richest people in the world. I'm pretty certain this guy's the future inheritor of a massive fortune. He's gotten a lot of shit for it and he denies it, but he's the inheritor of one of the biggest automotive companies ever or something. So he's a massive nepo baby who's got his entire life taken care of. So that's why he's literally covered in face tattoos and never has to worry about get a job interview, clearly, because his life is he's already got it all set. He's going to inherit more money than God.
Love left media.
Tell me why Trump is innocent.
You gonna change my words? What we gonna do? Trump's innocent, man. The reason why they pushing Trump so hard is because if Trump doesn't go to jail, they go to jail. They don't want him in this race. They want him off this ballot. He's the president of the United States or a former president of the United States.
Hey, remember, by the way, Donald Trump ran in 2016 on the idea of putting Hillary and all of his other political, like, enemies in prison. Like, you guys remember that, right? Like, Donald Trump's main, like, running point, not his main running point, but one of his most popular running points back in 2016 was that if he won, he would put the Democrats and his political opposition in prison for literally made up, objectively made up lies that he came up with that were, like, crimes that he decided they did. It's pretty funny that, like, the right will just sometimes admit that if they win, they will put everybody who dissents against their beliefs in prison at best. Best case scenario for you is you get put in prison. Possibly, potentially worst case scenario, they want you executed. Zan, have you ever seen Professional Douche? I don't know what that is now.
He doesn't need to get a mugshot. He doesn't need to be handcuffed. All these indictments are backfiring. They're not going to help him because you don't like Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, there's people who play 50-50 don't really know, and this shit here is making them say this is taking it way too far. Even you, my man, like you had to have more money when Trump was in. The economy's much better now, right? With Donald Trump.
The economy's better?
With Donald Trump. Then now, Donald Trump has helped so many people become who they are. Like you got to go undercover as someone who likes Donald Trump to get views.
Not all of us can get an inheritance from our dad.
I know, from daddy for Auto Trader, right?
Yeah,
which I love anybody to show me where I got any money from anybody in my family.
He's the inheritor of the Auto Trader fortune, I guess, or whatever. His dad owns the company and he's going to inherit it. So he's got like an extremely rich dad and he is set to inherit it when his dad dies. So like, show me where I've received money for that. Your upbringing, the fact that you're standing at this trial right now, or at this like location right now, covered in neck and face tattoos, and you're not homeless. Like, that's a pretty good sign that you come from a lot of money and are going to inherit a lot of money, is the tattoos and the fact that you're not this guy's not a gangster. This guy's not like, he hasn't gone to prison. He hasn't gone to jail as far as I know. He's not like doing any type of crime and trying to look badass or something. That's not his income. He's trying to look badass because he doesn't have any financial responsibility because he's going to inherit money from daddy. That's the kind of guy this dude is. The biggest kind of loser.
Never received an inheritance. I don't know what inheritance I could have got. But you know what? I got 6 Rolls Royces on my own. Supporting Donald Trump. I got brand new cars, Tahoes, Trump trucks, billboards, money, because you know what? I get up every day and chase my dreams in this world that Donald Trump let us do that and fight for freedom.
I hope he asks, what do you do for a living?
The thing that people joke about is your whole born to ride Donald Trump.
Born to ride 45, that's the gang.
Yeah.
Born to ride. He was indeed born to ride.
That's the gang. We out here putting on for Trump.
I bet I could convince him that glazing is whenever you're like super in favor of somebody and it has no negative connotation, and I could get him to say that he's a Trump glazer. I bet I could convince him within moments to say, oh hell yeah, Trump glazing, yeah, I glaze for Trump, yeah. I bet I could get him to say that. I totally could. I could convince him. He wouldn't know what a glazer is. If you don't know what a glazer is, it's somebody who blows someone so hard that they constantly and just dick rides them and sucks them off that they have been glazed with the cum. So this guy is a glazer for Trump, if it's not obvious. I could get him to admit it without realizing that he's admitting it.
Do you like
putting on for Trump? Them people out here putting on for Trump.
That's funny though. It's funny.
I don't think it's funny.
It's so
it's funny.
Dude,
I don't think it's funny.
Born to ride Donald Trump.
I don't think that's funny.
I think that's where we'll end things. A little bit of an insight to what the Trump supporters' copium has been with this whole trial. As a nice little final cherry on top to this absolutely amazing line of events that has been Donald Trump's legal downfall. I cannot wait to see where this ends up. I hope he ends up in prison. That would just be phenomenal.